You know, it's funny how people think they're ready for the biggest decisions of their lives. They polish their smiles, rehearse their promises, stand in front of mirrors, practicing forever like it's some kind of performance. But deep inside, something keeps whispering, tugging, scratching at the truth they don't want to hear. Because when someone says they're ready for marriage, it's not the wedding dress or the suit or the pretty little photos that matter. It's the weight, the responsibility, the storms they'll have to face when everyone else disappears. And that's where the warning comes in, the kind that isn't loud, not dramatic, just a quiet voice that shakes your bones more than any shout ever could. You know, people love to say they're ready. It's their favorite costume. They put it on like a mask, smooth, confident, polished, hoping no one notices the trembling underneath. And when someone claims they're ready for marriage, oh, that mask becomes even thicker. They start talking like they've mastered the art of forever, like they've studied the blueprint of loyalty, responsibility, sacrifice. But what they don't tell you, what they can't tell you, is how much fear hides behind that performance. Because readiness isn't about saying the right thing. Readiness is about surviving the truth. And most people can't even survive honesty with themselves. Everyone wants the title, but not the test. They want the glory, the photos, the applause, the illusion of stability. They want to be seen as the strong one, the mature one, the one who finally has life figured out. But deep inside, behind all those painted smiles, there's a war they haven't fought yet. Marriage isn't a stage play where they get to memorize the perfect lines. It's an unpredictable script written by reality, and reality doesn't care about their rehearsed answers. It exposes them. It strips them. It reveals all the cracks they tried so hard to hide. You can always tell when someone is pretending to be ready. Their eyes give them away. They flicker when you talk about responsibility. They dim when you mention sacrifice. Their breath hesitates when you speak of loyalty. Real loyalty, the kind that doesn't crumble when temptation taps on the door. They nod and smile, but their soul twitches, because somewhere inside they know they haven't dealt with their own demons. And demons don't wait politely outside the marriage door. They walk in with you, sit at the table with you, sleep beside you. If someone hasn't faced them alone, how will they handle them with another person tied to their life? People love the idea of settling down, but they forget that settling down means settling the chaos within. And some people, oh, they carry storms. Not the kind you dance in, the kind that destroy everything they touch. But instead of learning how to calm the thunder inside themselves, they disguise it. They tuck it under pretty words. They bury it beneath forced confidence. They dress their fear in commitment, hoping no one notices the shaking hands behind the promise. But fear has a strange way of leaking through even the strongest disguise. It slips into their choices. It slips into their silence. It slips into the moments when no one is watching. When someone says they're ready, it's rarely their truth. It's their hope. They hope they can rise to the person they claim to be. They hope maturity will magically appear when needed. They hope responsibility will hit them like lightning the moment they say yes. But hope isn't readiness. Hope is a wish stacked on shaky ground. Readiness is built through battles, through scars, through moments where you had no one but yourself and still didn't break. And many people haven't walked through those fires yet. They just pretend they have, because pretending is easier than admitting they're not prepared. If they were truly ready, you'd see it in the way they handle conflict without turning it into chaos. You'd see it in how they treat commitment when no one is cheering for them. You'd see it in their discipline, their consistency, their humility. Not loud declarations, not poetic promises, not dramatic vows. Real readiness whispers. It doesn't need spotlights or applause. It shows itself in the quiet choices they make every single day. But most people don't want quiet truth. They want loud fantasy, and fantasy never survives reality. That's why someone's readiness often hides fears they refuse to admit. It's not because they're bad, it's because they're human. Humans love illusions more than truths. They cling to the dream of being ready because the reality of not being ready terrifies them. They think saying it out loud will summon the strength they lack, like some kind of spell. But life doesn't work with spells. Life works with scars, with lessons, with growth they can't fake. And until someone confronts their inner chaos, their readiness is nothing more than a carefully decorated fear waiting to collapse the moment real life knocks down the door. A quiet warning. Funny how people underestimate it. They're so used to noise, to grand speeches, to dramatic gestures, that they forget the most dangerous truths don't arrive with fireworks. They slip in like a whisper, almost too soft to notice. And that's exactly why they matter. When someone tells you they're ready for something as heavy, as life-altering, as marriage, their words are loud, their confidence is loud, their eagerness is loud. But the warning is quiet, almost shy, hiding in the background like a shadow that refuses to leave. And that quiet little voice, the one you try to ignore, it knows things their promises refuse to reveal. You see, loud promises are easy. Anyone can say they'll stay loyal, stay strong, stay committed. Anyone can flash a smile wide enough to blind you. But the warning doesn't care about smiles. It watches everything underneath. It listens to the pauses between their words. It studies the moments when they shift their eyes, avoid the truth, dodge responsibility with a laugh or an excuse. And then it whispers something so small, yet so haunting. Something you can't unhear once it enters your mind. That whisper is reality telling you something isn't matching the picture. It's strange how people get uncomfortable with silence. They think silence means nothing is happening. But silence, real silence, that's where truth lives. And when someone talks about being ready for marriage, but the silence around them starts to feel heavier than their promises, you should pay attention, because the truth rarely screams. It rarely storms in through the front door. It taps gently, hoping you won't be too distracted by the noise to notice. A quiet warning is like a crack in a perfect painting, tiny, almost invisible, but once you see it, you can't stop staring at it. People don't realize how much their energy betrays them. Their body language, their reactions, the way they behave when no one is applauding, all of that is louder than their words. But the warning doesn't shout it to you. It nudges you. It makes your stomach twist for a second. It makes your chest tighten just a little. It's like standing in a beautifully decorated room that still smells like smoke. You don't see the fire, but something inside you knows it was there. And maybe, just maybe, it's still burning in a place you can't see. Most people ignore that feeling. They call it overthinking, insecurity, paranoia. They brush it off because it's quiet, because it doesn't come with evidence printed on paper. But warnings don't come with evidence. They come with instincts sharpened by every lie you've ever survived, every heartbreak you've ever endured, every time you trusted someone who wasn't worthy. That whisper isn't fear, no. Fear is loud, desperate, dramatic. The whisper is recognition, a memory you don't remember remembering, a lesson your mind learned long before your heart caught up. When someone claims to be ready, their confidence might be loud enough to drown out your doubts. But the warning will sit there silently, watching, waiting. It won't fight for your attention. It doesn't have to. It knows that truth doesn't need volume. It needs timing. And it knows that sooner or later, you'll notice the inconsistencies. You'll notice how their actions don't walk in the same direction as their words. You'll notice how their promises lose strength when pressure increases. And when you see all that, you'll realize the warning had been telling you from the very beginning. But the quietest warnings are the most dangerous because they require you to trust yourself, not them. They force you to choose between the pretty picture they're painting and the blurry, unsettling outline your instincts keep showing you. And people, well, they love pretty pictures. They love believing the best. They love pretending everything is under control. But a quiet warning is the moment reality taps your shoulder and reminds you that illusions crumble the second truth enters the room. And truth always enters. It doesn't rush. It doesn't roar. It walks in slowly, silently, almost politely, just like the warning that tried to prepare you, just like the whisper that told you something felt off, just like that small voice you kept pushing away because their promises were louder, shinier, easier to believe. But loud things fade. Loud things crack. Loud things lose power. It's the quiet ones that last, the quiet ones that stay, the quiet ones that reveal exactly what you weren't ready to see. You think you know someone by the way they talk, the way they smile, the way they say the words you want to hear. But no, that's the easy part, the part anyone can fake. What you need to see, the real truth, lies in the shadows they try to hide. Shadows don't lie. Shadows don't perform. Shadows don't need applause. When someone claims they're ready for marriage, you don't look at the ring they're offering, the flowers they bring, or the poems they recite. You look at the corners where light doesn't reach, where their secrets twitch and fidget, where their real selves peek out when no one's paying attention. That's where you find the truth, and truth isn't polite. Truth isn't kind. Truth is sharp, and it cuts straight through the illusions. Everyone hides something. Some hide it in jokes, some in distractions, some in the way they nod too fast or laugh too loud. Shadows are funny that way. They're always there, following, waiting, reminding you that no matter how bright the spotlight is, there's always a place where they can't be controlled. People try to pretend they're clean, ready, perfect. But shadows are stubborn. They cling to your heels. They sneak into conversations, twist your intentions, make excuses for things you don't even notice. When someone says they're ready for marriage, the shadows are what reveal whether they truly are, or if they're just performing, just hoping no one notices the darkness they carry. You want to see the real person? Watch how they behave when no one is watching. Watch the tiny, subtle reactions, the twitch of an eye, the hesitation in a sentence, the way their hand lingers on a door handle before letting go. Shadows manifest in impatience, in irritation, in the little lies that slip through when they think they're safe. Marriage isn't about the grand gestures. It's about surviving the mundane, the hidden, the quiet moments where your soul is exposed. And shadows, oh, shadows don't lie in those moments. They whisper secrets louder than any confession ever could. They tell you exactly who this person is when the applause fades. People avoid shadows. They think if they don't look, the darkness isn't real. But that's the trick. Shadows aren't optional. They're the parts of someone that didn't make it to the light. They're the cracks in the mask. They're the tiny, messy pieces of reality that no amount of rehearsed smiles can hide. And if someone hasn't acknowledged their shadows, if they haven't faced the parts of themselves that are ugly, broken, chaotic, then what hope do you have that they'll face the chaos of a shared life? Marriage doesn't forgive ignorance. It doesn't wait for you to catch up. Shadows walk into the room the moment commitment is spoken, and if someone isn't ready to meet them, you're in trouble. Notice patterns, because shadows leave footprints. They appear in the little inconsistencies, the promises that fade, the words that contradict, the moods that change without reason. Shadows are not dramatic, they are patient. They wait for you to trust the person completely, and then they remind you who's really there. Some people believe that if they say the right words, if they perform the right rituals, if they create enough distraction, the shadows will disappear. But shadows are clever. They hide in plain sight, in gestures that seem insignificant, in moments that feel too small to matter. Ignore them, and they grow. A small, unnoticed shadow can consume an entire room without warning. Shadows also test your perception. They challenge you to see beyond the surface, to question what seems obvious. When someone claims readiness, your instinct might tell you, everything looks fine, while your shadows whisper, look closer. The eyes that avoid, the smiles that falter, the hesitation before a commitment, they are shadows speaking, trying to warn you before the illusion collapses. And those who are truly ready, oh, they don't hide. They face their shadows, invite them to the table, acknowledge their existence. They understand that light is meaningless without dark, that love cannot survive without knowing the depth of what you're stepping into. Marriage is a mirror, and shadows are the reflection you refuse to see. They aren't evil, they aren't malicious, they are merely honest. They show you the parts that are unpolished, unpredictable, unmanageable. And someone who tries to erase their shadows before walking into marriage, someone who pretends they don't exist, well, their shadow will follow, waiting for a moment of weakness, a crack in their act, a silence where truth can slip in. That's why shadows matter more than words, more than smiles, more than rehearsed promises. Shadows tell you who a person really is, and ignoring them is the fastest way to discover the chaos you never expected. Commitment. Funny word, isn't it? People throw it around like it's candy, handing it out to anyone who smiles back the right way. They talk about devotion as if it's a simple choice, a checkbox you mark, a photo you post on social media with a heart emoji. But real commitment is heavy. Real commitment isn't measured in words or promises. It's measured in storms survived, in arguments endured, in days when love isn't romantic but exhausting. That's the part nobody tells you. People say they're ready for marriage, but do they understand what it means to stay when everything inside them screams to run? That's the real question. Because surviving storms is the test no one rehearses for, and the people who claim readiness often stumble the moment the first gust hits. Marriage doesn't wait for mood swings or convenient timing. It doesn't pause while someone decides if they're brave enough to face reality. It arrives uninvited with bills, arguments, sickness, loss, boredom, and the quiet despair that shows up at 3 a.m. when everyone else is asleep. And if someone hasn't learned to stand in their own storm, how will they stand in yours? It's easy to claim loyalty when the sky is clear, when the sun is shining, when butterflies fill the stomach. But what about the nights when silence fills the room? What about the mornings when exhaustion drags them out of bed and all they want is to escape? Commitment is not a spotlight, it's a constant, relentless shadow that follows you everywhere, whether you like it or not. And many people, they underestimate just how demanding that shadow can be. You can see it in how they handle small challenges. Real commitment isn't dramatic, it's mundane. It's in the unpaid bills, the forgotten errands, the patience when the coffee spills on the floor, the way they respond when someone is hurt or scared. It's not a performance. It's not a gesture meant to impress. It's endurance, persistence, consistency. Those who are ready for marriage understand this instinctively. They know that love is a verb, not a decoration. And those who are unprepared, they treat it like a game, a role, a fleeting moment of excitement that loses its appeal the instant it demands effort, sacrifice, or discomfort. People forget that commitment demands truth as much as it demands loyalty. It doesn't forgive illusions, half-truths, or avoidance. You can't hide behind charm, humor, or poetic words when the real test arrives. The nights of doubt, the moments of frustration, the days of irritation, those are the times that define whether someone is truly ready. And those who pretend readiness, who mask fear with confidence, often crumble under pressure. Commitment is like a storm. You can't control it. You can't negotiate it. You can't escape it. You survive it by facing it, by enduring it, by refusing to let the chaos win. And few people are truly prepared to do that. Marriage is full of silent battles. Battles no one else sees. Battles that don't come with applause. And readiness isn't about winning those battles perfectly. It's about showing up anyway. Showing up when your soul is tired, when your patience is gone, when the world seems intent on breaking you. That's when commitment matters most. That's when the difference between those who are ready and those who are pretending becomes painfully obvious. You notice it in the small, almost invisible choices: who takes responsibility, who deflects blame, who listens when it's hard to hear, who stays when it's easier to leave. Many people equate readiness with romance, with passion, with excitement, but passion fades. Romance is a moment, fleeting and beautiful, but unreliable. Commitment endures. Commitment doesn't rely on butterflies or fireworks. It relies on grit, honesty, accountability, and patience that stretches beyond what anyone thought possible. And if someone hasn't developed that patience, that discipline, that capacity to endure without applause, then marriage will be nothing but a stage for disappointment. Because storms don't care about intentions. Storms care about resilience, about willingness to face discomfort, about refusing to let chaos dictate the outcome. And here's the cruel truth. You can't teach commitment in a classroom. You can't lecture it into someone's soul. You can't persuade it with words alone. It's learned the hard way, in real life, in messy, unglamorous moments where no one else is watching. Those who are ready for marriage have already faced themselves, their fears, their weaknesses, their impatience, their selfishness. They have been in storms and survived them, sometimes broken, sometimes scarred, sometimes alone. That's why they are ready, because they know that love isn't a performance. It's a battlefield, and the only way to survive is to stand through the storm, to keep going when everything inside screams to stop, to honor the commitment even when it's inconvenient, uncomfortable, unbearable. Patterns are funny, aren't they? People love to talk about change, about growth, about becoming someone better, someone worthy, someone ready. But patterns, patterns don't lie. Patterns don't pretend. Patterns don't pause for theatrics or apologies or promises. They exist quietly, consistently, unbothered by what you want to see. When someone claims they're ready for marriage, watch their patterns. Watch the rhythm of their life, the way they react when things don't go their way, the way they handle responsibility, the way they treat people when no one is applauding. Because patterns are louder than words, and louder than smiles. They reveal the truth that no rehearsed line ever could. People are addicted to the idea of transformation. They want to believe the person in front of them can suddenly become someone perfect, someone unwavering, someone devoted. They look at the declarations of love, the romantic gestures, the promises whispered under candlelight, and they forget to look at the slow, steady repetition of behavior that tells the real story. Patterns reveal whether someone faces their obligations or avoids them, whether they keep their word or bend it to convenience, whether they confront problems or run from them. The person who is ready doesn't need to declare it. They demonstrate it every day, in ways small and almost invisible, but undeniable to those who know where to look. The problem is that most people don't notice patterns until it's too late. They are blinded by charisma, distracted by charm, hypnotized by the illusion of readiness. They hear the words, see the gestures, feel the warmth of promises, and ignore the subtle signs repeating beneath the surface. Patterns don't need to announce themselves. They creep in like a shadow, unnoticed at first, then undeniable, then unstoppable. Miss them once, and you might get away with it. Miss them twice, and reality starts knocking. Miss them consistently, and the illusion shatters, leaving chaos in its wake. Patterns are persistent. They don't change because someone wants them to. They reveal where integrity ends and convenience begins. They reveal how someone handles stress, disappointment, or conflict. You can see it in the small things, how they respond to messages, how they keep commitments, how they manage anger, how they treat those with nothing to give. These repeated behaviors are not just habits, they are indicators of character, the blueprints of how someone will act when life demands more than words. And when marriage enters the picture, life demands a lot. Patterns become a mirror, reflecting the truth of whether someone can navigate the storm with you, or whether they will crumble when the first gust arrives. It's tempting to believe in exceptions, to hope that love will override every flaw, every bad habit, every warning. But patterns are patient. They wait. They test your optimism, your trust, your tolerance for chaos. They whisper, slowly but steadily, that actions outweigh intentions. A person might promise to change, to grow, to be better. But patterns never lie. They repeat the same mistakes, reveal the same inconsistencies, expose the same weaknesses, and ignoring them doesn't make them disappear. It just delays the reckoning. When someone claims readiness, check their history, observe their routines, notice how they respond to challenges. That's where truth lives, not in declarations. Some people confuse charm for character, spontaneity for commitment, excitement for reliability. They mistake novelty for stability, flash for substance. Patterns expose that illusion. Patterns tell you how someone operates when the mask is off, when life isn't staged, when no one is watching. They show you who is consistent and who is only consistent in pretending. And consistency matters more than passion, more than promises, more than desire. Marriage doesn't survive on magic or charm or temporary devotion. It survives on repeated choices, repeated respect, repeated accountability. Those who can't demonstrate it before the vows, how will they demonstrate it after? Patterns also reveal how someone treats failure, disappointment, and mistakes theirs and yours. They show whether someone owns their actions or deflects blame, whether they learn and adapt or repeat and deny. They show whether someone is capable of patience, forgiveness, and endurance, or whether they crumble under the weight of reality. These are not dramatic revelations. They are small, subtle, persistent, almost invisible until the moment they become undeniable. And in that moment, you see clearly what words and promises could never convey. Patterns are the quiet storytellers of truth, the proof hidden behind every performance, the measure of whether someone is truly ready for the chaos, the responsibility, and the permanence that marriage demands. Truth. Now that's a dangerous thing. People dress it up, sugarcoat it, hide it behind smiles, charm, excuses, even tears. They think if they perform convincingly enough, no one will notice the gaps, the cracks, the pieces they've left unfinished. But truth has a way of slipping past the lies, past the rehearsed gestures, past the confident claims. When someone says they're ready for marriage, you have to ask yourself, are they ready for you, really? Not the image you project, not the version you show to the world, not the fantasy they want to chase, but the real you. Messy, scarred, unpredictable, unpolished. That's what truth demands. Truth doesn't care about poetry or promises. It doesn't bend for convenience. It doesn't negotiate with charm. People fall in love with the idea of someone, not the reality. They see what they want to see and ignore everything else, all the while believing they are discerning, perceptive, wise. But love, real love, requires vision beyond illusions. It asks you to look closely at the contradictions, the inconsistencies, the moments where behavior doesn't match words. That's where truth hides. And truth isn't always kind. It's not gentle. It doesn't tiptoe in with a soft warning. Sometimes it slams into you, brutally obvious, exposing everything you've been willing to ignore, every denial you've been clinging to, every hope you've pinned on someone who isn't ready for the weight they've claimed to bear. Someone can be ready for ceremony, for appearances, for social approval, for a photo and a hashtag. But that doesn't mean they are ready for reality. Reality is not selective. Reality does not excuse selfishness, immaturity, dishonesty, or avoidance. Reality tests, presses, confronts, challenges, and doesn't care about feelings or comfort. Marriage isn't a stage where you rehearse the best version of yourself. It's a relentless, unfiltered arena where truth emerges whether you like it or not. And if someone isn't ready for your truth, the dark corners, the unspoken fears, the parts of yourself you protect fiercely, then their readiness is a lie wrapped in charm. Notice how they react when things get uncomfortable. Notice how they handle moments where there is no applause, no reward, no spotlight. Truth reveals itself in patience, in accountability, in honesty when it costs something. Those who are ready for marriage understand that being with another human being means confronting the unvarnished reality every single day. They understand that love is not fantasy. It is responsibility, struggle, persistence, endurance. Those who are not ready, they avoid, they deflect, they distract. They treat the rawness of truth like a threat, an inconvenient obstacle, something to hide behind smiles or jokes or promises they cannot keep. And here's the tricky part. Truth is rarely loud. It doesn't announce itself with drama or flair. It appears quietly, insidiously, in moments that seem too small to matter. A hesitation before an answer, a fleeting irritation, a choice to avoid instead of confront. These are the signatures of truth. They tell you who someone is when the fantasy fades, when the excitement wanes, when the masks come off. People ignore these signals because it's easier to believe in stories than in reality. But marriage is not a storybook. It's a mirror, reflecting everything accurately, whether you are ready to see it or not. And truth, truth, it doesn't negotiate. Truth also tests your courage, because seeing someone clearly is not comfortable. Seeing someone fully and allowing yourself to be seen fully is terrifying. People want the idea of love more than the reality of it, and they want readiness to appear in flashy declarations rather than quiet, consistent actions. But readiness is silent. It is measured not in words, but in endurance, in patience, in the ability to face someone's entirety, the good, the bad, the ugly, and still stand by them with accountability, honesty, and integrity. Those who can do this are rare, Most people claim it, but few possess it. And truth is the proof, slowly unraveling everything that pretends otherwise. You can tell a lot by how someone deals with your imperfections. Do they embrace them, understand them, walk alongside them, or do they try to reshape you, control you, ignore them, or run? Marriage is not about molding someone to fit your expectations. It is about holding the space for each other's reality, for each other's truth. Those who are ready for marriage have already learned to honor truth in themselves. They have faced their flaws, their chaos, their darkness, their contradictions. And only when they can confront their own truth can they truly confront yours. Because love without truth is fragile, deceptive, and doomed to crumble. And those who are unprepared for your truth, well, they are unprepared for love, no matter how loudly they claim readiness.